I want to start today's deep dive with a little thought experiment. It's a bit grim, fair warning, but just stay with me because it really sets the stage perfectly for what we're about to walk into.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
I want you to try and build the ultimate enemy in your mind, the absolute perfect predator.
Okay, I'm game. Are we talking like real-world biology or fantasy?
Oh, fantasy. Definitely fantasy. So start with the foundation. Raw, physical, catastrophic power. Picture an ancient red dragon.
The classic.
The classic. A creature so massive it blots out the sun, and it can turn a whole city to ash just by, breathing out.
Okay, so that's your brute force, your overwhelming physical threat.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, I want you to layer a psychological nightmare. Give that dragon the mind, the psionic abilities, of a mind flayer, an illithid.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't just burn your body. While you're burning, it can peel your mind apart like an onion.
So we have a dragon that can perform psychic surgery on you from 100 yards away. That's deeply unpleasant.
We're not done. One last piece. Now take that dragon mind flayer hybrid and fuse it with a sentient, corrupting magical artifact, a sort of singularity of pure evil that has spent centuries driving kings and wizards completely mad.
You're piling it on now.
You mash all three of those nightmares together. The dragon, the mind flayer, the artifact. What are you looking at?
You were looking at the Ghost King, and you're looking at the central antagonist of the book we're covering today.
Exactly. Today, we are diving deep into The Ghost King by R.A. Salvatore. And looking at the source material, this book feels different. It's not your standard fantasy adventure. It's not go here, kill the monster, get the gold. This feels, it feels terminal.
That's the perfect word for it. This is the third book in a series that's literally called Transitions.
Right.
We are not just talking about Drizzt Do'Urden fighting another big bad. We're talking about a systemic, fundamental collapse. The very laws of physics and magic in the world of Faerun are breaking.
So the stakes aren't just a kingdom or a city. The stakes are the fabric of reality itself.
They absolutely are. In the lore, this whole event is called the Spell Plague. But to really get why that matters and why this new villain is so uniquely terrifying, you have to look at how it was born. Because it's a perfect storm of failure and malice.
It really is a worst-case scenario Venn diagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's start there with what you called the unholy trinity. This Ghost King isn't just one guy. It's a merger.
Right. It all starts with Hephaestus. He was a mighty red dragon. But when we find him at the beginning of this story, he's a shadow of his former self. Honestly, he's pathetic.
The text describes him as blind, doesn't it?
Blind and battered, yeah. Years before our story, he was blinded during the destruction of the crystal shard.
Which is Kryn Shinabon, the artifact we just mentioned.
The very same. So you have this apex predator, a creature of immense pride, hiding out in some mountain cavern. He has to navigate his own home purely by smell and hearing, and he's just nursing this festering grudge for decades.
That sensory detail in the book really stood out to me. The way he can't see, but he can hear a rabbit's heartbeat from a mile away. He can smell the fear on a traveler. It almost makes him scarier than a sighted dragon because he's so hyper-focused, He's just listening to the darkness.
Then he's paranoid, deeply paranoid. And, he has reason to be, because he realizes he's not actually alone in that cave. He feels a psychic intrusion, a voice in his head. It's Heraskrik.
Heraskrik. That's a name that just sounds like a wet cough.
It fits the character perfectly. Heraskrik is an illithid, a mind flayer. Now, for anyone not deep in the lore, mind flayers are usually these hive mind creatures that, eat brains. They're the ultimate manipulators.
But this one is different.
This one's a rogue, and more importantly, he's supposed to be dead. His consciousness is all that's left, clinging to the psychic residue in the area.
So we've got a blind, angry dragon and the ghost of a squid-faced psychic just hanging out in the cave together.
And the ghost is bored and deeply malicious. Heraskrik starts goading the dragon. He plays on Hephaestus's pride, his rage. He whispers in the dragon's mind, taunting him about his blindness, about how far he's fallen. And he tricks him. He convinces the dragon to breathe fire on the last remaining remnants of that destroyed artifact, the crystal shard.
Why? What does the dragon think he's accomplishing? He's trying to burn the voice out of his head?
That's exactly it. He thinks, I'm going to incinerate this psychic pest. But the fire, It does the opposite of what he wants. It acts as a catalyst. It doesn't destroy the shard, it supercharges it. It awakens all the dormant necromantic energy sleeping inside. And that's where the transformation, what the book calls the rot, begins.
Describe that for us, because the writing here is not just he turned into a zombie, it's incredibly visceral.
It is pure body horror. The dragon expects that familiar rush of heat, of draconic power, but instead he feels this cold of the void. It's not winter cold, it's the absolute absence of life.
Like a vacuum.
Exactly. And then his scales start sloughing off like wet paper. His flesh literally melts away in seconds, exposing the bone underneath. Hephaestus is screaming, thrashing around his lair, absolutely convinced that he's dying.
But the Mind Flayer is telling him something else.
Herastric's voice is just calmly in his head, telling him, "You are not dying. You are becoming." And in that moment, the consciousness of the dragon, the intellect of the Mind Flayer, and the sentient will of the crystal shard, they stop being three separate things. They fuse. They become the Ghost King.
So physically what we're looking at now is a dracolich, a skeletal undead dragon. But mentally, what's going on in his head?
Mentally, it's a hive mind of pure, distilled hatred. It has the psionic reach of the Mind Flayer, so it can project its will and control minds across vast distances. It has the necromantic power of the shard, so it can raise armies of the dead. And it still has the raw physical durability and a modified breath weapon of a dragon.
And it also controls the seven, right? These other liches.
Yeah, these 7 ancient, powerful liches that were originally bound to the crystal shard. They're basically his generals now.
That is an overpowered D&D stat block if I've ever heard one.
Right.
So what does a creature like that even want? I mean, usually in these stories, the motivation is conquer the world or gather all the gold.
It's so much more petty than that, and honestly, that's what makes it more dangerous. It wants revenge.
Avenge.
Pure, simple revenge. It's obsessed with destroying the people responsible for killing its previous forms, and that puts a giant glowing target directly on the backs of the drow mercenary Jarlaxle and the ranger Drizzt Do'Urden.
So it's not business, it's personal.
It is intensely personal, and that's what makes it so relentless. A conqueror might pull back if the cost of a campaign gets too high, but a vengeful ghost dragon will burn the entire world to the ground just to catch 2 specific guys.
So we've got this god-tier villain rising up from the ashes, but he's picked one hell of a time to do it, because while he's being born, the rest of the world is literally falling apart. Let's pivot to that global crisis we teased. The weave is unraveling.
The spell plague. Yeah. This is the backdrop for everything else in the story. It's the context that turns what would be a difficult fight into a seemingly impossible one.
We've used that term a few times now. For someone who doesn't know the mechanics of this world, can you break down what the weave actually is?
Yeah, of course. Think of the weave as the operating system for reality. In the Forgotten Realms, magic isn't just some chaotic force you pull from the air. It's a structure. It's a complex, ordered interface. Mystra, the goddess of magic, maintains this weave. So when a wizard casts a fireball, they're essentially typing code into that interface to get a specific result.
And the spell plague is the server crashing.
Yeah. It's the server catching fire, melting down, and taking the whole building with it. The weave begins to physically unravel. In the book, this shows up visually as waves of blue fire or ground lightning. It's just raw, unfiltered, magical energy tearing across the landscape.
And this has consequences beyond just wizards can't cast spells anymore, right? It sounds like the laws of physics themselves are taking a holiday.
That's a great way to put it. It means gravity might just stop working in a 10-foot radius, sending you floating helplessly into the sky. It means a stone you're holding might suddenly turn into water. And for magic users whose minds are, explicitly plugged into that weave,
Oh, that can't be good.
it drives them instantly, violently insane. Their connection to the fundamental nature of reality just snaps.
And this global crisis hits our main cast in just the most devastating personal way imaginable. I want to talk about Cadderly. Because Drizzt has fought demons, giants, entire armies. But he can't fight this.
And that's the absolute tragedy of it. Cadderly is Drizzt's wife. She's always been a warrior, but recently she's been training to become a wizard. She's studying magic, trying to connect with the weave, and she's meditating, doing just that right when the crash happens.
Christ is right there with her. He sees the blue fire coming.
He screams for her to run to get out of her trance, but she's logged in, to use our analogy. She's completely open to it. The blue fire just engulfs her. And when the light fades, she's still standing there.
Physically, she's there. But mentally.
She's gone. She enters this deep fugue state, and the details here are just heartbreaking. She starts speaking with a thick, heavy, dwarvish accent.
Which is a reference to her childhood, isn't it? She was raised by the dwarf king, Bruenor.
Exactly. She believes she's a young girl again, back in Icewind Dale in the care of her adoptive father. She looks at Drizzt, her husband, the love of her entire life, and she has no idea who he is. She just sees a drow elf stranger. She even says something like, "I've heard drow are evil, but you don't seem so bad to me."
Oof, that has to just crush Drizzt.
It completely destroys him. There's nothing he can do. He's helpless. And to make it worse, there's a ticking clock. Drizzt finds a strange mark on her back. It's a bruise, shaped like an hourglass. And the sand in the bruise is visibly running out.
So she's dying or fading away.
Right.
And of course their friend Regis, the halfling, tries to step in and help.
Right. Regis has his enchanted ruby pendant, the one he uses for his charm and persuasion abilities. He gets this idea, maybe I can use the ruby to get inside her mind, find her in there and pull her back.
A valiant effort.
A truly terrible idea. The magic of the weave is unstable. So instead of him entering her mind, Regis gets sucked into somewhere else entirely, some kind of shadow plane, a personal nightmare realm.
So now Cadderly is mentally gone, and Regis is trapped in a coma nightmare.
It's even worse than that. In the real world, Regis is on the floor, physically thrashing and screaming. But in his mind, he is being relentlessly hunted and torn apart by shadow monsters over and over again. He's living in a perpetual state of abject terror.
And he can't wake up.
Can't wake up. Drizzt even tries to use the ruby to go in and save him, and Drizzt, who is famously iron-willed, is almost overwhelmed by the sheer horror of the place. He has to pull back or risk being lost himself.
So the companions of the hall are just. They're falling apart. Cadderly is lost in her past, Regis is trapped in a living nightmare, and Drizzt and Bruenor are completely desperate.
And while they are scrambling to find any kind of cure, the Ghost King is making his first moves. Which brings us to Jarlaxle.
Jarlaxle. I love Jarlaxle. He's the flamboyant, opportunistic, always has a plan, drow mercenary. If anyone can survive a magical apocalypse, it's him. But he's being hunted too.
He is. You have to remember, he possessed the crystal shard for a good long while. That created a psychic link, a backdoor, and the Ghost King can use that to trace him.
How does that actually manifest? Is it like a vision or?
It's an invasion of his reverie. Elves and drow don't sleep like humans do. They enter a meditative trance. But every single time Jarlaxle tries to rest, the dragon is there. This voice in his head just whispering, "I will find you, drow." It's relentless.
So he's sleep deprived and being psychically tracked by a godlike undead dragon.
Jarlaxle is incredibly clever, though. He uses his mental discipline to fight back. He summons memories of the most chaotic battles he's ever been in, trying to create, psychic static to confuse the tracker. He uses his magical eye patch to try and block the scrying. But the dragon keeps getting closer.
And eventually, the hunt stops being purely mental. It sends a physical agent, or I guess a metaphysical one.
A shade. A specter sent by the Ghost King. Jarlaxle and his dwarf companion, Athrogate, get attacked in the woods. And this is where we see that brute force is completely useless against this new enemy. Athrogate swings his enchanted morning stars, and they pass right through the ghost. No effect.
You can't punch a ghost.
Exactly. But Jarlaxle is a lateral thinker. He realizes he can't kill it with weapons, so he decides to, break reality instead.
This is one of my favorite moments in all the lore.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through the science of the magic he uses here?
So, in the world of Dungeons & Dragons, there's this cardinal rule. You never, ever put a portable hole inside a bag of holding.
Why not?
Because it creates a rift to the astral plane. It literally rips a hole in the fabric of space-time. And Jarlaxle basically weaponizes this glitch in the system. He throws his portable hole, which is a patch of cloth that creates an extra-dimensional space at the specter. Then he uses his bag of holding to interact with it.
Boom.
A huge boom. It tears open this violent rift to the astral plane and just sucks the specter into the void. It's incredibly reckless, extremely dangerous, and unbelievably effective.
It really highlights the difference between Jarlaxle and someone like Drizzt, doesn't it? Drizzt fights with unmatched skill. Jarlaxle fights with chaos and ingenuity.
But even Jarlaxle realizes he can't keep pulling stunts like that. He can't outrun a psionic dracolich forever. He needs help. And he knows there's only one place in the world where faith and reason might have a chance of solving a magical apocalypse.
The Spirit Soaring.
Exactly. He decides to seek out Cadderly. And on the way there, his path crosses with Bruenor and Drizzt.
Talk about an awkward road trip.
Oh, it's incredibly tense. Brunor absolutely despises Jarlaxle. He blames him for the fall of the city of Luskan, for a lot of past trauma. He's ready to just attack him right there on the road.
How does Jarlaxle handle it?
He just diffuses the situation by pointing out the obvious. Look, we are all going to the same place for the same reason, and we're all being hunted by the same thing.
The enemy of my enemy is my, well, not my friend, but my temporary travel companion.
Right, so you get this incredibly tense ragtag group. A desperate dwarf king, a grieving ranger, a pragmatic drow mercenary, and a rhyming dwarf sidekick, all speeding towards Spirit Soaring in a magical wagon.
Okay, let's talk about Spirit Soaring itself. This is a cathedral, but it's not just a church, is it?
No, not at all. It's a temple dedicated to the god Daenerys. He's the god of literature and art, but in practice, he's the god of knowledge. Spirit Soaring is a cathedral of reason. It's a library, a university, a place where faith and science are seen as two sides of the same coin.
And Cadderly Bonadus is the man in charge.
Cadderly is the chosen of Daenerys, and he's a fascinating character. He's aging backward, so he looks like a young man, but he's much older. And he's facing this immense theological crisis. He's trying to use logic to fix a broken universe.
There's a scene where he meditates and actually sees his god. What exactly is happening there?
It's a really heavy, abstract scene. He sees his god, Daenerys, frantically numbering the strands of the broken weave. Imagine the universe is a giant, fraying tapestry of magical code. The god is trying to apply mathematical logic, what he calls the metatext, to the chaos, to stitch it all back together.
So the universe is essentially a math problem, and the equation is suddenly wrong.
Precisely. It suggests that existence isn't just divine whim, it's a structure, a system with rules, and that system is failing. Cadderly is trying to decode the matrix of the universe before the whole thing blue screens.
And while he's dealing with that cosmic problem, his kids are dealing with more immediate threats. We get introduced to the next generation of Bonaduses.
Yes, his children. Temporal the warrior, Hanalesa, who is a monk and an incredible unarmed fighter, and Rorik, the young wizard and scholar. And of course, we can't forget the uncles.
The Boulder Shoulder brothers.
Ivan and Pikal. Ivan is your classic, grumpy, axe-wielding dwarf. And Pikal is, well, Pikal is unique. He's a dwarf druid. He has a bright green beard and communicates almost entirely in nonsense noises like doodad and shalala.
But you definitely shouldn't let the nonsense fool you. Pikal is incredibly powerful.
Oh, extremely. And they're the ones who get the first real warning that the Ghost King's influence is spreading beyond just psychic attacks. The kids in Pikal encounter a bear in the woods, but it's not just a bear.
It's a zombie bear.
It's a rotting, maggot-filled, unkillable zombie bear. And this fight scene is great because it establishes that Cadderly's kids are not just scholars. Hanalesa uses her martial arts to literally punch through the bear's skull. Temporal is there with a great sword, but even after they crush its head and break its spine, it just keeps coming.
That's the truly scary part. It's not just undead in the classic sense. It's animated by this relentless, hateful will of the Ghost King.
Exactly. They do eventually manage to destroy it, but they realize what this means. This is an outbreak. The dead are rising, and they have to rush to the nearby town of Cara Dune to warn everyone.
Which leads us directly into the siege of Cara Dune, and this section of the book reads just like a zombie movie.
It is absolute, total chaos. Bonadu's children and the dwarves get to the town, but it's almost too late. The local graveyard just empties out. Skeletons claw their way out of the ground. Zombie animals start attacking from the woods. There's this one horrifying detail. Skeletal fish start leaping out of the lake to attack people in boats.
Skeletal fish. Okay, that's just nightmare fuel.
It really is. It shows the total perversion of nature. The town is quickly overrun, and the defenders are pushed back into a large whiskey storehouse.
And this is where Pikal gets his moment to shine. Tell me about the whiskey tactic.
It's desperate and it's brilliant. They're trapped. The undead are pounding on the doors about to break through. And Pikal realizes they are sitting on a mountain of high-proof explosives, hundreds of kegs of whiskey.
So he decides to light it up.
He uses his shillelagh, his magical druid club, which is glowing like a torch. He starts running around, smashing open kegs and igniting the streams of alcohol. But he doesn't just run. The book says he is skipping through the spreading fire, shouting "Shalala" at the top of his lungs.
Skipping through an inferno while burning hordes of zombies. That is Pikal in a nutshell.
It creates this massive wall of fire that incinerates the first wave of the undead. It saves the group, at least for the moment. But while Pikal is being this chaotic hero, his brother Ivan is facing a much, much darker fate.
This is the part of the story that really twisted my gut. Ivan is out in the woods alone at this point, right?
Yeah, he got separated from the others. He's looking for firewood or something. And he comes across a group of 4 wizards from Baldur's Gate who've been attacked by those shadow beasts, the same kind that went after Jarlaxle. The wizards are wounded, dying.
And Ivan, being a good guy, goes to help them.
He fully intends to, but the Ghost King is in his head. Remember, the Ghost King is part mind flayer. It has that psionic reach. It clouds Ivan's mind, twists his perception.
What does Ivan see?
He looks at these innocent, dying wizards, and he doesn't see humans. He sees his most ancient, hated enemies. The text says he sees a dragon, he sees a mind flayer, he sees the creatures that have plagued his people for millennia.
Oh, no.
In his mind, he is fighting the ultimate heroic battle. He raises his axe, believing he's a hero slaying monsters to save the innocent. But in reality, he is butchering helpless, dying men.
That's absolutely tragic.
It gets worse. After he kills the last one, the Ghost King's voice speaks to him directly, praising him. And then it reanimates the bodies of the dead wizards. And Ivan, completely deluded and effectively possessed, just marches off into the woods with his new undead bodyguards.
So one of the staunchest, most loyal allies of the good guys is now unknowingly an agent of the enemy.
It shows the true insidious nature of the Ghost King. He doesn't just want to kill you, he wants to use you. He wants to corrupt everything you are and turn you into a weapon against your own friends.
So let's just zoom out for a second and look at the whole board. We're clearly heading toward a massive confrontation at Spirit Soaring.
The convergence is happening, yeah. You have Drizzt, Bruenor, and Jarlaxle in a magical wagon, racing toward the cathedral with the comatose bodies of Cadderly and Regis. They're desperate for a cure, any kind of hope.
Then you have Cadderly Bonadus, who is basically trying to hack the universe's source code to stop reality itself from dissolving into chaos.
At the same time, you've got his children and Pykel besieged in the nearby town of Caradun, fighting for their lives against an endless horde of zombies.
And looming over all of it is the Ghost King, this creature that's part dragon, part psychic mastermind, part necromantic artifact. And it has already compromised their ranks by turning Ivan Boulder Shoulder into its puppet.
The core conflict here is just so multifaceted. It's a physical battle. Can they survive the undead armies? It's a mental one. Can Jarlaxle resist the psychic intrusions? And can they save Ivan from his delusion? And it's a metaphysical war. Can Cadderly actually fix the weave before magic and reality ceases to exist entirely?
It's so much more than just hit the bad guy with a sword.
Exactly. Drizzt's scimitars can't cut a problem like this. Bruenor's axe can't fix Caddy's broken mind. They are facing an enemy that attacks on vectors they aren't even equipped to defend against.
And that final image of Caddy, lost in her own memories, believing she's a little girl again, while the entire world is on fire around her, it just underscores the personal tragedy of it all.
It really removes the safety net. Usually in these kinds of epic fantasy stories, you know deep down that the main heroes will probably be okay. But here, you have a main character whose mind is effectively erased. You have another one trapped in a literal hell. It feels final.
It brings up a really interesting question for you, the listener. We rely so much on the rules of our world holding up. Physics, logic, cause and effect.
Right.
But if those rules just broke, if magic or physics or whatever underpins your reality to stop working correctly, what do you fall back on?
Do you put your trust in faith, like the priests at the cathedral? Do you trust in pure reason, like Cadderly trying to solve the equation? Or do you just trust in cold steel and your own stubbornness, like the dwarves?
And the Ghost King, it's starting to look like they're going to need all three, and even that might not be enough.
And the most terrifying part is the enemy is already inside their heads.
A chilling thought to leave you with. We'll be back next time to see how, or maybe if, they manage to survive the night. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Stay safe out there.